Appearance-based bullying might appear subtle, a little comment here or a joke there, but its impact can be enormous. When repeated comments target someone's appearance, they can influence their confidence, their identity, and that can affect how they participate in school life. I am Juliana, and this is the second episode of our limited edition Free the Shoulders podcast series from the Diana Award. The Diana Award is a UK-wide charity that believes young people can change the world. Their anti-bullying programme enables young people, parents and teachers to tackle bullying by building skills and confidence to address different situations. Today, I'm in Canterbury, Kent, where we are examining what happens beneath the surface, not just the moment of the comment, but its longer-term effects. With me is Kim and Lilly and Assistant Principal Kev Reygate to explore the psychological and social impact of appearance-based bullying. What physical changes happen when appearance bullying comments are said to someone?
I think a lot of people, their confidence drops down, and it also makes them want to change the way they look. Say if it's a comment about weight or the way their face looks, they'll be trying to change themselves to fit in, I guess. The confidence will just drop, and it will make them maybe antisocial or nervous to go out and be around people because they're scared that comment will be rang up again.
Kim, what longer-term effects do you think that can cause to someone?
I think that can cause somebody to go into depression and maybe not want to do anything and maybe just ignore everyone for a while and just isolate themselves from everyone.
If you think about school, how do you think it would affect their attendance? Would their attendance be affected?
Yes, it would affect their attendance because people might not want to come to school anymore because of the people that are doing it to them.
Do you want to explore a bit more, Kev, on how does that affect participation in school?
I mean, if you look at where students have been affected by this, they're not going to come in, which is then going to have an impact on their outcomes when they get to year 11, which could then impact their life choices. If you're not coming into school because of the bullying, are you going to get those grades to move to college? Are you going to get those grades to move to the next? Is that going to hamper them moving forward? Yeah, so actually, I think when you talk about it, you're absolutely right. How can we deal with that? How can we make that better?
I think that you can make that better by maybe just trying to listen to people, maybe.
Yeah. Also, I know a lot of people struggle opening up about bullying, and they feel like if they was to tell someone about it, that not a lot will happen, and they think the bully that if they get talked to by a teacher, things will just get worse because it makes them like almost, why are you snitching on me? And people are scared to open up about that. So I think trying to find an easier way for students to open up about things like that will make it easier for them to come into school, and it will also help with the bullying.
And we've started to do that, haven't we? With the Diana Award and our training that we had, we're starting to explore ways of how students can come to speak to other students rather than staff, and having that dedicated area that they're able to work with.
As appearance bullying affects identity and how they feel coming to school, in a general way, who do you think those people look up to for help or for support? What is the first place of a safe space that they can?
I definitely think that obviously we campaign for anti-bullying ambassadors, so people know that we're there, but then also students like to talk to prefects sometimes, or the head students of the school, or we've got a box as well where you can get a piece of paper and write down your problems, put your name down, put it in the box so no one really sees what the problem is on the outside, and then it will be given to the teacher, because you can write down what teacher you want it to go to, and then they can read it and personally help you as well.
And I think a lot of time, building on from that, parents have a major role to play. Because a lot of the times the students will go home, they'll talk to parents will phone in, this has happened, can you deal with it, can we look through it? And that's where the pastoral managers come in and really help you guys kind of work through it.
When that extrapolates to the virtual world of social media, for example, how would the school support the students, parents, and how does that happen?
So parents will send it in, we'll have a meeting within school, we'll go through all what's been said, we'll take photos, we'll take evidence. If it happens outside of school, we'll also direct to the police because it is a harassment outside. But within school, we'll then take that information, we'll investigate it, we'll speak to the students, we'll deal with it within school, be that isolation, depending on the serious nature of it. But we'd ultimately want to get those together to resolve it through restorative justice and activities like that.
What would be the biggest fear that you believe someone going through a situation like this have before reaching out for help? What would stop them from doing so?
I think that they're worried that if they reach out for help, if that certain person that's making mean comments about them will find out, it will just like escalate and get worse, because obviously the certain person might be angry or upset, or it might just almost encourage them to keep on because they think it's funny that they're hurting, but it's not. So I think that's definitely a big like barrier between opening up and like asking for help.
Okay, let's get some views from other students here at Orion Spires. Our roving reporters asked about the difficulty of asking for support. It was good to hear from Lucy, Freya, Thomas and Iris.
Why do you think it's hard for young people to open up about bullying?
I think it's hard because some people don't like to come up and come forward with their problems, as they might feel like judged or like put down about how they feel.
I feel that they don't think the support in place is right for them, and that it can often escalate the situation into a worse scenario for them that can lead to more damage. And in the event that it does solve the issue, that is quite a rare occurrence to them.
I think some young people believe that opening up to teachers can make the bullying worse, and it's quite hard for some people to open up considering some people might have different pasts and things like that.
Kev, what do you think about that?
I think Iris put it so well. When you think about students coming in and sometimes they don't want to talk to an adult. It's really difficult to open up to someone you don't necessarily trust. There's got to be that trust there, that relationship. Sometimes it's easier to come and have that conversation with another student, get that little bit of confidence, and maybe from that point they're able to come in and come and speak to an adult with a friend. And I think students today will have someone they can open up to. It's just whether they've got that confidence to go to that member of staff when it's really bad, or do they go early? Do they go a bit later? How long does it take? But I think the friendship part of everyone's journey is really important to help them get to that member of staff and really get it sorted.
Kim, what do you think makes a safe person, a safe adult in school? What's their behavior like?
I think a teacher like in school can be trusted by like them being kind to people and like showing that they can be trusted by like helping them like when there's something that they need help with, or like people like needing, I don't know, just basically just being there for people when they need them. That's what I think that makes them a trusted person.
Yeah, I like that. Who at school do you think shows those values? I mean, our values are trust, kindness, and endeavour.
I think Miss Anderson shows that the most because she's always able to listen to other people talk, like when they have their problems. Yeah,
so you got your head of year that you can go to. What about your pastoral manager?
She's really nice as well. I think I can trust her as well.
Yeah, and do you know where they are all the time? Do you know?
They're always in like their office and stuff.
Yeah. It's good to know that you know where they are, yeah, because then you can help others.
Lily, how can we support someone to come forward and look for help if they need so?
Something to make it easier for students to come forward is maybe like trying to find a less obvious way that you're asking for help, because I know a lot of students are obviously scared of that. But also, like, you know, if you don't really talk to that many teachers, like maybe even if you have a confidence problem, maybe try and talk to more teachers, so then you can build that relationship of trust, so then you can go to them and like be able to open up to them.
I think it's not just the students that should be doing that. Staff should do that as well. As a staff body, we're trying to build that level of trust and get to know students so that they do feel comfortable. And I think that is a two-way thing, isn't it? There's that respect for students to staff. Also, staff should be respecting students. And that ability to be able to do that will open up so many avenues for these students just to be able to talk to you, to be able to resolve that situation. And I think that's great.
Kev, how does it impact a teacher hearing from a student they're going through a situation of appearance bullying?
It's a big impact, because for me, I see the 600 odd students we have here as my own children. I see them as part of my extended family. To hear that someone has been bullied, be it appearance, be it whatever, it impacts right to your core, because you don't want to see that person upset. So you want to resolve that. And it doesn't finish at the end of the day. It's not a 3:15, everything's gone home, everyone stops worrying about it. It's like, okay, what could I have done anything more to support that young person? Could I have done anything more to stop that from happening? So I think as staff, we see it, we see the effect it has on the student, but the effect it has on us. Well, we take it home with us, and sometimes you need someone to talk to be able to get over that kind of, right, okay, did I do that right? Could I support that student any better? Because as I say, every one of the students here, I see as extended family, staff see as extended family, because we have that. We want that relationship. We want that sense of belonging, that sense of everything in our school.
Why do you think that appearance bullying's impact lasts so long in somebody's life?
Because it's something that everybody sees. For me, people will go around and call me bald. Oh, look, there's Mr. Reygate, the bald guy, and it's water off a duck's back to me. But actually, when I was younger, it'd have been, well, hang on, what's the matter with me? And why does nobody like me? Why am I being picked on for that? And I think the impact just it stays there, because, well, what's wrong with me? Just because you're looking at me, my personality it should be what you're thinking about, not just because I've may look different to you.
Lily, do you think that it affects people building their identity at a critical age when they're growing up?
I think it does, because, like, especially secondary school years, they're such important years of your life, because that's when you develop the most mentally, physically. And having those comments made about you, they can just, like, if you start feeling confident with how, like, you're looking, you're acting, or how well you're doing in school, comments like that can just set you back like 1,000 milestones. Like, it's almost like 1 step forwards and 2 steps back when someone throws that comment at you. And it just, I feel like people will, like, not know how to cope with that, or, like I said, it will just set them back by milestones.
Okay, we've been back out to ask students here at Orion Spires about the role of social media.
What role would you say that social media has in appearance-based bullying?
I think social media provides unrealistic goals of how your body should look and how you should think and things, and it also provides almost what people think is a safety shield for bullying, when it's not what the internet's for, and people shouldn't be doing things like that.
It could play a role because, like, how they feel when they see pictures that could be fake, and they might think it's real, and they might want to change themselves to look like how the other people look in the picture, and it could make them feel worse about themselves.
I feel that some people use it as a mask in order to get away with these activities, because it's a lot harder to end an issue if there's such a big veil protecting those who are the culprits of it.
Kim, what do you think is the role of social media on appearance bullying?
I think it can like have a huge impact on people. Like some people can like be mean and some people can be really nice on like other social media like platforms, and other people can just be like watching and just not saying anything about it because like they mind their own business.
How do you think that can be a positive space for young people?
I think that can be a positive space for people because they can just look up to people and then just be like admiring people but not just being mean, and then just not looking at like people in a negative view of like thing.
Lily, what are the ways that you think social media can play a positive role on students' lives, especially those going through appearance bullying?
I think that, social media can be very dangerous, but then it can also be like a big support network, because on social media you can find communities of people that can relate to you, that are going through like same like appearance bullying. And like you can again look up to people who like you admire, and you can spread awareness of it as well. So then like other people might not have to go through the same thing as what you're going through.
You can find groups.
Yeah.
You can find that information out that may be able to help you. So social media, as you say, plays that negative impact, but can also play such a positive impact because you don't have to necessarily go and speak to someone. You can start to find information out for yourself and try and help yourself before you can help others as well.
Yeah.
And perhaps feel encouraged to go on and ask for help if something's happening to them as well.
Yeah.
Kev, from an adult's perspective, we worry a lot about what young people are consuming on social media. What are they doing? What do you feel social media can do positively for young people?
I mean, you're absolutely right. It has those negative connotations, but social media can also have the positive effects of being able to open up to people you maybe not know, being able to find something that a group or a community that is going through the same thing, and you're able to get into there and actually find out ways that you can deal with what's going on and find out you're not alone, and then be able to bring that back to maybe your parents, to the school, to then seek that, I suppose, that help that you need, because you're going to get that confidence from, it's not just me that's going through this. There is someone else out there. I can talk to someone, and I can then bring it back to my life, and they may be given that confidence just to go and speak to home, which is really important, because the more we talk about it, the easier it gets, and the more we can delve into to making it better.
Kim, is there anything you would like to say to other young people that might be going through appearance bullying at the moment?
Yeah, I would like to say that don't change yourself because other people say so. Don't change yourself because other people think that you're really like not worth like talking to. They're just gonna be mean to you anyway if you change yourself.
Lily, what message would you leave for young people?
I would say, I know it's hard not to let it bother you, but other people's opinions don't actually reflect on who you are as a person. And as long as you're happy with the person you are, then no one else's opinion should matter. So you just keep pushing through it. And if it does get to a bad stage, try and find that trust and confidence to go and talk to someone about it, because things will get better.
Kev, from a perspective of an adult in school, what would you like to say?
I'd like to say that you've got students out there that will continue with the behaviours, but they are able to change that from being the bully to being the upstander and supporting other students that are going through the same situation or calling it out. We've got lots of people who have been through the process, have come out there and are really taking the lead in the school in going, this behaviour is not acceptable, and calling it out, speaking to those students, speaking to staff, and pushing the agenda forward. It's not led by the staff, it's actually led here by the students.
Kev, we've spoken about how children and young people can change their behaviour. Why would they change their behaviour? How is the school supporting that?
I think it's through the education. I think the programmes that we've worked on, the talking to students, the restorative justice, and bringing the Diana Award in this year to come and do the training with us. The students have really bought into it since we've done that. We've seen a massive upturn in that sense of belonging in the school, and the sense of pride, and the sense of, I don't want this to happen here. So the impact for us has been massive from those students. As I said before, it's turned from us leading it as a staff to the students leading it and going, right, we're going to take this forward. We're not going to accept this behaviour, and we're going to challenge it at every point. So that education, the communication, the talking with parents, the guest speakers we have come in, it all feeds into that sense of belonging that the students have because of the pride they have in the school.
Lily, why do you think that appearance bullying is so bad and impact is so lasting in somebody's life?
Well, yeah, like bullying has such a huge negative impact on people, you know, and that will stick with someone until they can regain their confidence. And even after, you know, it will probably still stick with them. And I think it can just affect them so bad. Like, as mentioned earlier, it can pull you into a state of depression or, you know, just losing self-confidence or becoming very isolated and antisocial. And I think if you are showing like bullying behaviours, like I feel like you just need to stop and think about the impact that has on people, because you also never know what goes on behind closed curtains either, because you never know what someone's home life can be like. So you just need to really stop and think how that can impact someone.
So the impact goes beyond what's happening in school and with the bullying situation, but onto mental health, identity, and when people even grow up and still carry that with them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, Kim, that the mental health aspect around appearance bullying can be impactful for young people?
Yeah, I think it can be impactful because it can really hurt. Like, you can still think about it years later when you're an adult, and even then you'll still not be able to forget. You remember every single thing that people have done to you, and I think it can also change you as a person, and it can make you feel, as she said, isolated and really like depressed sometimes. Yeah, and that's all.
Kev, what is the turning point for a school where there's a threshold, something's got to be done?
I suppose for us, it's in all our data. For us, it's in the data of what's going on and how many cases are coming up. And I think that's one of the first things you've got to tackle, the behaviour. When you see everything going on in the school and you really break it down, right, where are our key areas, where are our focuses, right, we need to have a focus on that area. I think that's where it comes from. And once you've identified that problem, you can start to build. And I think 4 years ago we started to build, and we started to build through assemblies, through talking about mental health, through everything we do, to really get into the point where we are now. Where I'm not saying bullying doesn't happen here; it clearly does. It happens everywhere, but it's how you deal with it. And I think we've turned that tide of it being top down to student led, and it's happened because we've worked as a team. And I think our student council have worked. They've brought it up. They've said they want this, and this, and we've tried to develop that as we've gone on. To pinpoint an actual point, I couldn't, but I think it's just a lot of hard work, and it just takes that time for students to trust staff, students to understand that staff are there to do the best for them, and they want the best for them. And I think we've built that relationship over the last 4 years here to get to the point where we are now, where I think we're on the cusp of not cracking it, but certainly dealing with it a lot better and with a lot more student involvement. And I think that's the key. Once the students are involved, they will show that impact. They'll show the way. They'll show what they want for the school to be.
My thanks to Kim, Lily and Kev and everyone at Orion Spires for giving us a big welcome for today's episode of the Free the Shoulders podcast. Understanding impact allows schools and young people to respond more effectively. If today's discussion has raised questions or concerns, the Diana Award provides resources to help schools build safer cultures and to support young people who may be affected. You can find further guidance through the Free the Shoulders campaign at freetheshoulders.com. In our final episode, we'll be in Scotland, talking about what we can do to stop bullying, particularly when we see it with our own eyes. For now, from Canterbury, thanks for joining us.